application. Um,
What?
we can start with any of that stuff.
What application are you building?
I am building Houndstooth.
Right.
It's my art project on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm doing
we
a
have a
little
lot
blockchain
of good,
development, a little brand and development, front end and back end development. It's a lot of fun.
We have a lot of good things to talk about, and one of the things that I really liked about what we said last week, it was just like really your point of view and your attitude last week was you were really on top of things.
Solipsism.
Yeah, solipsism.
Mm-hmm.
Can you check in with me on this? Like, how are you doing this week?
I'm powerful as fuck, dog.
I'm powerful as fuck.
Yeah, it's working. My back still hurts, but pain don't hurt. Yeah, it's. But yeah, I've stepped up my game. I've been productive. Stepped up my exercise. What's up, Neil Floyd? Welcome to the cast. We out here cooking on a Sunday night. Well, it's Sunday night for me.
It's Sunday night for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sunday sermon
my day just
for
began.
us.
I got back from the sunrise surfing.
How was that?
There you go. Do you want to see a photograph from this morning?
Yeah.
I sent Jana a photograph, so I'll try to open it here. Anyway, tell me more about how powerful you are and what does that mean?
Well, it's kind of everyone's powerful.
Yeah.
There 100%, is a world outside that you interact with, but the interface through which you interact with it is your experience. And your experience is yours. It's you.
Yeah.
Everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been thinking about, have you ever seen that diagram that Carl Jung did of the psyche of like the different areas? There's like the shadow self and the unconscious and everything. That's nice to think about those things in a categorical sense, but unfortunately, most of those areas are infinite, right? And you can chop them up in any way. But I've been thinking deeply about just the three main areas, right? There's the self, your personality, the you. Then there's the unconscious, which is still you, but you don't have direct access to it, right? Like your conscious awareness is separate from your unconscious. Your unconscious is still you. What?
You been thinking about this lately?
Yeah, your subconscious. Yeah, but outside of yourself is still part of your consciousness. That's part of your experience, and it's in your mind, right? And you have just as much control over that as you do over your unconscious, which is a surprising amount, right?
I'm sorry. I want to pause for just a second and say, while you're talking to me about consciousness, I want to say, hi, Jana. You're not here right now. I love you. I miss you. And also,
is she watching?
I mean, maybe someday, but also, don't you like this pretty picture I took? I'm just like sitting here, like loading up a picture and being like, oh yeah, consciousness. Do you like the orange?
I do like it.
I
it's
like
beautiful.
The orange bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was this morning as I woke up, and then also because we're talking about Jana, she sent me a photo. Maybe she won't mind if I. How do I open this? How do I quick look? If I open it with preview, there we go. Yeah, this is a really nice photo that she sent me this week. There we are. Isn't that nice? Nice little sunset.
So still loading. Beautiful, beautiful sky.
Yeah, she sent me a sunset picture, and I sent her a sunrise.
That's very cute. That's nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Jana, if you watch in the future.
So hi, Jana. Yeah. And also, Max.
And also, hi, my grandchildren, if you watch in the future.
Also, dude, if your grandchildren were also like regular hosts of the show, that'd be so sick.
Yeah.
Any grandchildren?
I just got to shoot up the club first. That's an inside joke. This is a little inside.
You told me.
All right, so you have your consciousness. You have three areas. You have your consciousness, right? You have your subconscious, which is unlimited within you, and then you have your super self, your super consciousness, your higher self, which is the world outside of you that you experience. And your experience is still you. It's your experience.
Yeah.
It's nobody else's. And there's great power to be held there because there's also a lot of responsibility. You're responsible for everything.
Okay. So
you know what I mean?
So the way that, just help me track this, the way that we got into talking about our consciousness is because I said
you asked me about solipsism.
Yeah, you're powerful this week. How's your solipsism going? And remind us, solipsism is a focus. It's an unrelenting focus on a task or something like that.
No. It's the undeniable fact that you, as far as you're concerned, experientially, you're the only thing that exists. You're at the center of all things. All activity swirls around you at your disposal from birth to death, and who knows what happened before and what happens after that. But we know that now, regardless of whether there's a consciousness to the universe or people outside of yourself, like all you know, it's the whole I think, therefore I am. It's taking that a step further. You're the only thing that you can be sure of, your experience. And your experience is the only thing you experience.
Yeah, dude.
There's nothing that you can experience that's outside of your experience.
Mm-hmm. And it's super, well, like there are ways that try to get us there, and like connecting through art, I think, is a way to get inside somebody else's experience in a really,
you can empathize.
No,
you can empathize and imagine their experience, but you can never get inside someone's experience. It's like imagine a dream.
Fair.
Explaining a dream to somebody, you could never. They can never see it, and they can never see the world from your perspective. There's a type of loneliness to it because it is your experience is truly unshareable. No one can ever truly know what's inside of you.
Bro,
you can communicate it, and they can perceive it and filter it through their experience, and you can connect on things that are seemingly is this podcast real? Well, that's up to you. Everything's real. Yeah everything that you experience is real. Are you real? Avante Romero. Avante Romero. That's a good name.
Yeah.
So let's get into the podcast, right? Let's put the philosophy aside. Do we want to talk about the development stuff first? Or you want to talk about music first? We got a lot to talk about, guys.
I want to talk about music first because yesterday I did log into a live stream of Shy Crush.
Yeah.
Okay.
A failed attempt. Attempt number 2. I've been testing out.
You take them down sometimes. Is this one up or down right now?
Well, I'm taking all of them down.
Okay.
Unless it goes really well, but for the most part, these go for a while. They're like hours long.
Yeah.
So if somebody tunes in for the live, that's great. But after that, you archive the recording on YouTube, and then you can edit it up into more digestible pieces, and then release that. Release clips, release a shorter thing.
And reels and stuff like that.
Not yet, because I was very unhappy. I had technical difficulties the first time.
Live is crazy, right?
Yeah, but I still made a banger. I made a cool little beat. That was very fun.
I've saved it till now. Let's listen to it. Mm-hmm. Do you want to play?
Well, the one last night, I also made another track. So far I've made 2 tracks, 2 beats, but the podcasts or the live streams themselves were full of technical difficulties. So I got to figure out like the OBS thing, figure out how to reduce the CPU usage because I get a lot of latency. And sometimes certain things just aren't working, and I think it's because I'm streaming through OBS and I have Ableton Live, and I only got 16 gigs of RAM on this laptop, so it's I'm pushing the limit, I think, of my hardware.
Dude, you're one of the most technical people that I hang out with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, you work at Google, dog.
Oh, but I don't. Hey, I mean,
there's got to be some technical people there. They got AI people.
I guess so. I don't know.
Although I got speaking about development, when we get to that, I got some fucking bones to pick because I've been having some issues. I use Firebase, and I love Firebase.
I told you I don't care. And
that's okay. You don't have to care. I want whoever's listening to hear this. Maybe the right people can hear it, or maybe someone, because I also looked into Supabase, but we're gonna get into this. Let's get into music first, though. Show me what you want to show me.
Well, I think the technical comment that I make extends into music, right? Because music is super technical. Like
it can
I was trying to explain to a friend. My friend is interested in like these like samplers and stuff, and I was explaining to him how they work and how you play them, and he's sending me videos of things that he likes, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a this and that, and what they're doing here is that, and it took so long for me to say, oh, this machine, when you hit the button, it plays a part of a song, a part of a sound, like a drum kick.
Sampler.
Yeah. And this, when you hit these two buttons in sequence, boom, 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 you can have a rhythm, and the whole object is like organizing all these sounds in a way that gives you pleasing, rhythms and melodies.
Yeah.
And it was like,
but music, ultimately, whether you're using hardware or software, it's all, and however technical you want to get with it, at the end, it is just the curation of sound. You're just curating sounds.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. It just strikes me like whenever I set up something musically, like if I connect things together, like especially these ones with all these wires, I feel like they get their clock right, and they have to be synced up, and
MIDI clock.
Yeah, all this stuff, and I don't know. It can be super, super technical. And in fact, you were telling me that in your live stream, there was something technically wrong. You had it, the time signature was at 6/8.
Yeah, well, I wrote a song.
Okay.
I was like, okay, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, so the first attempt, I didn't have a plan. I was just doing creative exploration.
Yeah.
And I made a pretty cool beat despite the technical difficulties, but it wasn't really like my sound, right? Because I didn't have a plan. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write a song. So I wrote a song on my guitar. And it was easy, just 2 chords, right? And I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. I got a plan. I kind of hear the instrumentation. So I started putting it down, and I realized, like, oh, this song's not in 4/4 that I wrote. And I'm like, oh, there's triplets, right? So, like, here. So you can hear, I don't know if you can hear this guitar.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. So,
perfect.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, great.
Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? But we also have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have a bit of a waltz here. And I had it in 4/4 at first, and it just wasn't syncing to the grid. And I was like, what's going on here? So I was like, oh, this is actually a waltz. It's in 3/4. So I put it in 3/4. It still wasn't working. And so I was kind of struggling through it, and then I realized it's actually in 6/8.
Okay,
yeah, the time signature that it seems to, and I didn't realize.
Was it difficult to figure that out?
Yeah, I actually figured it out by accident. And I probably could do it in 4/4. I did it in like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can do like it's right, but you can also go. So, time, it can all be divided up in different ways, but 6/8 worked the best, and I found it out by accident because I was playing with Addictive Drums, which is a plugin, and there was this beat called Slow Retro, and it fit perfectly, and I was like, oh, this is the time that I'm looking for, and it was in 6/8, and when I put that in, everything worked. It sat on the grid properly, and like my measures were properly,
Were you using Ableton?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Because you can see like each bar and measure, right? So you want like 4 bars or 8 bars. You want to keep it like even. And when I was doing it in 4/4 or 3/4, it was like ending in weird places. It wasn't syncing up with the measure. But in 6/8, then it was perfect. So, I'm not that technical of a musician, obviously. Like I write music and I do stuff, but that, I guess, is a little bit above my pay grade when it comes to certain specific things like that, musical things like that.
I mean, music is wonderful because there's always so much space to grow into. If you're interested in that area, there's space to grow. And there's so many different areas that have space to grow in.
And if I was patient, when you're doing a live stream, especially when you're doing like either like programming or technical stuff, there's kind of this weird feeling of urgency or rush and not to mess up. And like, there's kind of this thing where it's like, to make it smooth, and then when it's not going smooth, you start fumbling and bumbling and get flustered.
And you might say, sorry, chat. Like, oops. Do you know what? Yeah. I would do this a lot when I would be coding on DevTips with people live.
That's the worst.
I would get so wound up and tongue twisted and anxious.
And like troubleshooting in front of people is very annoying.
Troubleshooting.
It's but it's funny because when you're alone doing it, that stuff doesn't really happen. And when it does, you don't get as flustered. You just handle it and move forward. But for some reason, when people are watching you, or you feel like you're being watched, because frankly, nobody was watching the stream I did last night. Nobody in there,
Okay.
So, which is good.
I gave you hearts.
Mm-hmm. How long did you see it for?
I logged in and it was like you were about 10 minutes in, and I watched it for a few minutes while I got ready for bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Just it was fun. I gave it a like too also, so help it in that algo, baby.
Yeah. Well, I have it private right now because I need to go through and see if there's any clips that are actually usable to chop up. But in the end, all this is practice. It's just that was another practice run. But we'll get there. I'm gonna get it. It'll be dope. I'll have some nice smooth live streams for cooking up beats here, cooking up some music. Do you want to see what I made though? Because as soon as it ended, that's when I immediately was like, hold on, I got to see what's going on here. And then it immediately happened. I'm like, why couldn't this happen during the stream? And then everything was easy.
What you mean? Yeah, it does feel like, oh man, like you're much better off camera. I'm always so much better off camera than I am
just being watched. Like when I was a kid, I used to skateboard.
Yeah.
And I was good, and I would do dope shit. I would always stick my kick flip, 360 flips. Yeah. And I was, I don't know, 11, 12, whatever. And like my mom, I'd be like, if my mom was there and I had my skateboard for some reason, I'd be like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't land, I wouldn't land it. And I'm like, and she would be like, she thought I sucked at skateboarding, but I was really good actually. For some reason, yeah.
That's a good story. Like why my mom thought I sucked at skateboarding.
But it is funny if you're like, hey, watch me, and then you fumble it. It's like,
dude, I have a similar story. When I was, I think in middle school, maybe 7th grade. So this is like 13 years old, maybe 12, 13. I decided to do front flips off of the trampoline and to land on my feet. And I thought that was cool because it felt very, gymnastic, like circusy,
Yeah.
And I did it twice. And
I used to do trampoline flips. Yeah.
I did it off of the trampoline, landing on the feet on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground, yeah.
So cool. And I said, Mom, come here, check this out. And she comes out, and I jump once, twice trampoline, jump in the middle, and I'm about to do a flip, and I'm like, oh, wait, no, do over. But you can't do over in the middle of a rotation.
Try to control.
So I'm like, oh no!
Or Command Z.
Yeah, just like flying straight across the yard, landing on my face, and lying there.
It's always when you're being watched. It's
and I broke my arm, and my mom.
Oh shit!
Yeah, my mom starts laughing, and she goes,
"Oh,
is that what you wanted to show
that's
me?"
Nice. Yeah. That's what my mom. When I mess something up, my mom will be like, "That's what you want to show me." Like.
And I go inside the house and I go, Mom, I think it's broken. And my brother's like, it's broken. My mom's like, no, it's just a bruise. Like it's this big old bump. My dad comes home from work. He goes, why isn't he at the hospital? It's really broken.
How old were you?
Man, I was like in 7th grade. So like 13, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's really funny. That was the first time I broke my. No, maybe the first time I broke my arm. I also, where was I? I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I saw this guy he had the same scar as I do. Like I have this big scar going down my arm.
Yeah.
Right here.
From the plates, yeah.
And he had that same scar, And I was gonna be like, hey, Scar Buddies, you know, like at the grocery store. But
yeah, mine's on the front.
Yeah,
I got a big one here.
Do you ever see
because I didn't get plates?
Scar? Is it like a common scar?
Nah.
Mine's kind of common. Like people get their arm plated, you know?
Yeah. Well, mine's not plates. Mine's a rod.
A rod.
They put a rod down the arm. Yeah. So I have a big scar here from the rod, and then a big scar here from where the bone came out, because the bone ripped out through the skin.
It came out through the skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's so like it makes me cringe. Bones coming from the inside out.
Yeah.
All my bones have stayed inside.
My bones were on the outside.
I've never had any bones on the outside so far of my life.
Yeah.
Record 0.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it.
How many bones have you had on the outside of your body?
I guess
that's
2.
A sad question. Because injury is traumatic. Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a little bitch about it. No, I'm All right, let's bring this back. Let's talk about music. You want me to show you the Ableton track that I made last night?
I'm waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
let me set it up. Yeah, Ableton 12 came out, dude. Music is in a dope place right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much cool, dude. Ableton 12.1 just dropped. It's so dope, but I'm still like, they changed a lot of the interface, a lot of updates. So you got to like, I'm still kind of like relearning where things are, because they moved a lot of stuff around. But it is beautiful, the stuff that music tech does now.
Yeah.
And like, UAD dropped this vocal chain plugin, which I used. I downloaded the trial and use it, and I want to get it, but it's like $200 and something bucks, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel like I can. I don't know. It's UAD, Universal Audio. They make the best plugins, the best shit, everything. Yeah.
So what is this one?
But the best. But this is specifically a vocal chain. And the way that it's laid out, I'm going to show it to you in a moment. We're gonna do a new plugin review video.
Woo!
So let me just make sure that this sound is coming out. I think I have to send this to the caster. Let's see. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Could you hear that?
Yes.
You could hear that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to present my screen. So everyone that's watching, we're going to do a little music thing first, and then we're going to talk about programming and also product development and user experience. But for now, we're going to talk about music. So this is the track I made.
It looks nice.
It looks nice. I've got my drums folded up here, as you can see. And what's cool is this is Addictive Drums, right? And Addictive Drums just has some of the best samples. I have the hi-hat or the overhead muted because I just want that dry sound. And you can see all these green lights down here.
Yeah.
That's because I'm exporting them out so I can pull in individual audio into Ableton, and then I can manipulate like the kick individually, the snare, the hi-hat, right? I can manipulate those. The cool thing, though, is that the MIDI pattern stays here, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So you have like a singular MIDI pattern, but then you have like these different tracks to manipulate the audio for each one.
Okay.
So let me just play this track.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to show you. It's only like a minute long. How long is this track? I don't know. Should I play the whole thing?
Well, how about
it's actually kind of long.
See how far we get. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
See how far we get.
Yeah. So here you can see real quick. You can see my keys, my guitar, my vocals. I have a single vocal track. I just did one track. This is actually just a scratch track. It's not like a finished thing or anything, but it's still fun. My bass, but you can see there's not a lot of tracks here. And then I have all of the guitar and keys going to a music bus where I'm busing it so I can process the whole thing. And you can see I have some automation here. If I hit A and I click on this, re-enable automation, you can see on the music bus here, I have like a filter that turns on and off. So I'm actually automating this.
Okay.
So I'm just going to play it. You can hear that okay?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, can you hear it? Can you hear it going crazy?
It was garbling. Yeah. What was
Yeah,
going on
yeah,
there?
yeah. Well, I think because I have like this window open with StreamYard, it's eating up the CPU. I mean, you can see right here. Look at what my CPU is doing. It's like going out of control.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm gonna do real quick is, we're gonna freeze a bunch of these tracks, and this is gonna save the CPU.
Okay.
But it just takes a second, so we can vamp while that's happening. Yeah, that is the problem. I'm hitting the CPU limit, and I really don't have that much tracks, and I don't really have that much processing. But like, the plugins are dope, but they do eat up CPU. And when I got the M1 Pro, from all of my research, people were like, "Oh yeah, now with the new computers, 16 gigs is more than enough because of the way that the Apple chips, blah blah blah." It's not enough. Yeah. And now I'm like, I'm stuck with this laptop with 16 gigs that just doesn't do what I need it to do. So, which is very annoying. So most likely, I'm gonna have to get rid of that and get when the Mini Mac M4 Pros come out, I'm gonna snatch one of them up. I won't sell this. I'll probably keep this laptop because it still works. It's nice to have a laptop.
Yeah.
Especially if you go perform live. What's that?
Right. You'll have a desktop, a Mini Mac.
Yeah. I mean, I never use it as a laptop. Like I have a desktop set up with a monitor and keyboard and mouse, and my laptop is like mounted under my desk.
Oh.
So it essentially is a desktop computer. I rarely take it out and use it as a laptop.
Oh.
I just always work here. So it's like, I don't even really need a laptop. But you say that, and then if you get rid of it, something happens where you need a laptop, and you're like, oh well. So it's good to keep it. And if you perform live, you pretty much just export the stems, and you're not really eating up CPU because you're just using audio.
Okay.
So I'm gonna freeze all of these tracks as well. Freeze. Track music bus cannot be frozen. Okay, well I guess we won't freeze the music bus then. Freeze. There we go. Yeah, thus is the challenge and battle of using tech, and pushing it to its limitations.
I was sharing with somebody recently about like when I was trying to learn Photoshop on my mom's computer and it would like crash all the time.
Yeah.
You had to hit Command S every other moment because
there was no autosave back then. Yeah.
No autosave. No even thought about. Yeah.
Yeah. The struggle is real. And if anybody's listening, get more than 16 gigs in your computer. If you're doing anything, if you're doing music production, if you're doing 3D stuff, if you're doing video editing, even like photo editing, you want, what else? Even like graphic design and Figma really doesn't eat anything up. That's not an issue anymore. But, if you're editing large photos, obviously like video, if you're doing 4K, like I also, use DaVinci Resolve for color grading footage and I shoot in 4K.
Yeah.
So that, everything I do, I need more gigs of RAM. I need them gigs. But especially the music. Yeah. The good thing about like programming and design, like you can just use Figma and VS Code, and those things you can do on like an iPad, like
kind of lightweight,
or like a MacBook Air. Yeah. You don't need anything for that stuff, which is kind of nice nowadays.
That's why like all the engineers at Google, they just have like, what are they called?
MacBook Airs?
No, they're like Google Pixel.
Oh, the Chromebooks,
yeah, things like that. Yeah,
okay.
These little baby laptops.
Yeah,
they're cute. And then
that's funny
because everything's on the cloud. Everything's like on the whatever server or something.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like this arrangement is almost frozen.
Almost
see if my
frozen.
computer doesn't crash. Yeah.
We want it to freeze. Is that right?
There we go.
Got a balloon.
I got the spinny wheel. Oh, but I can't show you this plugin now. It won't let me open it.
Because it's frozen.
Yeah, but look, I froze these tracks and I'm still getting massive CPU usage. But it also might be caster. Oh, for some reason this buffer also went to 64. That's weird. Let's go to 1024. Let's just really push this to. There we go. Let's put this at 2048. This is going to really reduce the CPU that I'm using.
Yeah.
And let's unfreeze these vocals.
Oh.
Okay. See, now we're cooking. But I'm still, look at this. I'm still 54%, 64%.
Yeah.
But that's fine because it'll play and I can show you this awesome plugin from UAD.
There you go.
So let's start this over here. And everything should be fine now. What's that?
Is this in 6/8 like you were talking about?
This is in 6/8 time signature, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
No worries. You can see that I'm hitting, here, let me go back to wherever that was. At this loudest part, I'm hitting -8 LUFS.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very nice.
Yeah, the bass is good.
I've been
Nice, dude. What's your favorite part of that?
That rockin' bass line.
The bass is
and
good.
The rockin' bass line and the processing on the drums and the bass sounds really good. But also, like I said, this I'm hitting -8 LUFS with no distortion. Beautiful. I'm hitting all my targets here with the God particle. And this is so good. Like, I did one take. Obviously, I got to go redo the vocals and add parts and arrange it. It's, it's not a finished song. It's just a sketch of a song. But, I just low cut the vocals. I did hit it with some compression before going into this because I wanted to level out the vocals. And obviously, you want to edit the actual track itself. So you can see that this is chopped up, right? Remove silences and then fixing some of these volumes before you do any processing. You want to get the volume as even as possible throughout the track.
Normalized.
Not necessarily normalized, just kind of normalized, but really loud things you could just kind of want to lower manually. Which you can do here if you double click it, you can just lower the track itself. Lower the gain of the track, so you can see this one's got 7 dB negative, because then everything's kind of level. And the thing about audio processing, especially when it comes to dynamics, you don't want to just crush the dynamics because it sounds crushed, from a compressor, but you do want to shave little pieces as it goes through the process. So you start here by cleaning up the vocal, cleaning up the track. And then, you hit it with a little bit of compression. So if we come over here, this 1176 is fast. It's nice to hit vocals with this. I'm taking about 5 dB off of it. But I'm actually hitting it pretty hard because I want this vocal to be a little crunchy and I want it to be even. So I'm actually taking, the ratios 1 to 8. So it's reducing it even more. So it's a little bit more aggressive than the 4. And then I'm hitting it with another compressor, which is this LA2A. And all of this is Universal Audio's recreations of this hardware, but they also made the hardware.
That's what's so crazy to me, because I'm used to doing all hardware. My YouTube channel is just hardware stuff. And
but you're doing analog synths, right? You're not doing you're not running stuff through compressors and limiters and hardware.
Well, I have
equalizers or stuff like that, right? What's that?
I use hardware compressors.
What compressors do you have?
Well, on the sampler, if I want to get the sound looking different, I use a compressor. It's one way to increase the gain.
But it's built into the the thing that you're using. Okay.
Yeah, and so there's inherent physical limitations. You can only have one, for example. If you have one machine, you have one compressor, right? So digitally, you have a whole chain of multi compressors. I hit it with another compressor and another compressor.
Well, you have a lot. Yeah. But you do want to limit it, right? I'm just using 2 compressors, the 1176 and the LA2A, and this is kind of the only compressors that you need for the most part.
Yeah.
But what's good about it is the recreation of the actual texture that this hardware creates.
Yeah.
It's not a transparent compressor. It adds harmonics and it adds something to the sound.
As you say.
What's that?
Are there any compressors that are transparent, as you say?
Oh yeah. Any kind of optical compressor. There's plenty of transparent compressors. Yeah, that don't add sound. Even the stock Ableton compressors don't add any type of color or anything to the sound. But if you're trying to get a specific type of sound, you do want this color, right? Especially if you want this kind of old, there's something vintagey. Let's just solo the bass and the drums here. What's that?
It simulates a tube compressor?
No, these aren't tube compressors. But I do have, you can have tube compressors. which simulate the sound of tube, the warmth of tubes. But these are not, these specific two aren't tube compressors.
Got it.
But if you want this kind of like, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crushed and like, you know, you want a little bit of that vintage color, right? That hardware color. So let's see. Let's go from here. So yeah, I'm taking just a couple dB. So you can see I'm not like I'm taking a few dB as we move through the chain instead of using one compressor to shave off like 10. You don't want to do that. The compressor's going to be working too hard and it's going to crush it. So you're just shaving a little bit off as you move down through your chain.
Interesting.
And then here, there's a compressor on here as well, right? So you have like warm. You can also get a transparent compressor here. And these are modeled after different UAD compressors. But this thing is so cool. It's just a whole, you know, you've got your tuner in here. You can add some formant shifting. And it walks you through like the proper steps, right? So first you know, make sure the vocal's tuned. And then you move into like your color saturation, right? So you have solid state. You can also have tube, because you were asking about tube. Like there's a tube model here. I went with the solid state. It sounded better. And then you have these different types of colors here, like vintage, present, flat, bright. I went with vintage because that's kind of the vibe that we're going for here with this track.
Yeah.
And I'm boosting this color and saturation. I'm over compressing it because I also do want that vocal crushed a little bit. But it has like the gate built in. It's got the de-esser. It's just so convenient. And you could do all of this with different, you know, just take a saturation plugin and then a compressor and then a gate, and you know, you can do it yourself and just build a chain. But it's so nice to just have it all in one place. And there's something beautiful about UAD, the way that their stuff sounds. And you can also choose if you want your EQ first or your dynamics first, because that also changes the way something sounds. And the cool thing here is also when you select, like I picked Brilliant, right? But you can choose like, so you can see when I hover over this, it gives you really interesting suggestions on where to adjust your EQ. Like these are just suggestions, right? So you can say, okay, if I want it brilliant, I can boost a little bit here. I can boost this here. I can, you know, drop this here. And you can see that it changes. If I go full range, we get different markers at different frequencies and different. So it kind of just shows you, like kind of teaches you and helps guide you with these suggestions on where to boost and where to cut, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you know, you have your general highs and lows, and then you can add air, which adds this this top shelf here. It's just really, really beautiful. And then you go back through your chain, like the whole chain is in here. You have all this modulation. You can have a doubler, a flanger, a widener, and you can blend it in, so it's got like parallel processing. Whoa. And just the interface is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. You know, you can see how beautiful this looks. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for the. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah.
For the chat. You can just see how beautiful this interface is, and when I'm playing it, you know, you can see that we're hitting. Turn it a little bit down a little bit. You know, this is just such a beautiful interface. And then here, you know, you can do your low cut and high cut. You can add your modulation. You can put how much you're sending to reverb. You can decide what kind of width you're getting out of this. I went mono. I added a slapback here, and I chose the studio tape. But you also have like a cassette tape. Yeah. And you have digital. But studio tape sounded the best for me. Same thing with reverb. You have your low cuts, your high cuts, and you can choose your pre-delay. You know, I usually like a. What's that?
You like this interface, huh?
I think they did a really good job on putting so much stuff into this intuitive but also cute and beautiful interface. Yeah. This is one, I would say, probably some of the best work I've ever seen done on something so complex. with so much inside of it, but it's not overwhelming. It's just like each section's really easy. You have so many, you have your low cut and high cuts here. It's really just beautiful. You have all these different reverbs. They've really killed it with this.
Your whole section is right here?
For the most part, yeah. Like I said, I did shave off I did level it out a little bit, put a low cut on it, and I added 2 compressors.
Yeah.
Just to clean it up, because it was a scratch track. It was kind of a bad vocal track, and I didn't feel like retracking it, because it was late. I was doing this like pretty late.
Okay.
But you can get a really good, listen to the quality. It sounds great,
Uh-huh.
Your eyes are wide and you
It's cutting through the mix.
taste for hearts. And I've been thinking lately.
Right. And the cool thing is, with the saturation and the color, same thing on my bass. Obviously I'm not running that plugin here because this is a bass, but I've got the R-Bass mono and this cassette adding some saturation. So like even on iPhone speakers, and what's cool is on this plugin, the master plan, I can actually simulate the iPhone, and you can hear everything cuts through. You can hear the bass cutting through. And a lot of that also, the God particle really helps. Like this adds harmonics, this saturator. I love this plugin. You can see I'm pushing my mids all the way because this kind of gives you these markers, and it's I think the dude's name is Jaden Jawson or something like that. He created this. He's like a super famous producer, and he's produced like all of the biggest like pop albums in the last 10 years. Like he produced Beyonce and stuff. So these are markers for like his sound, and I'm not necessarily trying to get his sound, but I am looking for a mix between like kicks and basses that hit and cut through the mix, but also that kind of vintage sound. Kevin Parker from Tame Impala gets that to a certain point, but I'm kind of trying to find the mix between something else. But this is cool to have, and you can see when I'm playing it. I'm hitting my volume. Let me turn this off here. You can see I'm hitting my markers here. It's getting up into the green. And the top end never will, especially for a track like this, because you don't want you don't want that shininess because it sounds hi-fi. You want it to be a little lo-fi. It's just dope, man. There's so many cool things here, and it's so easy to produce like a track that's that can compete with the volume and quality of radio ready tracks. Very fun. So fun, dude. And
cool,
this, I got to buy this plugin. I just have the trial right now because testing it out.
Oh, right.
And like I said, you can do this with other plugins on your own, but when it comes to
auto-tune?
and now there's Antares Auto-Tune, which I had. There's a bunch of auto-tune plugins. Like Ableton Live 12.1 has it built in now. There's an auto-tune plugin.
Right.
Let me see if I can remove my screen from the stage. Oh, there we go. There's an auto-tune plugin.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're making music, and not just making music, this kind of goes to like going through your day. The more decisions you have to make, the more it drains your willpower. And it's really interesting because now they've seen like that as you go through the day, especially the more decisions you make, you get a buildup of not glucose. Something in the brain, And then when you sleep, it cleans it. Now, what's interesting though, I think.
I saw one of these videos on YouTube. I know what you're talking about. It's like there's like these little bits that help you make decisions, but they build up all over the day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to sleep, your brain brushes those little bits away.
Yeah.
So that in the morning you can have fresh decision making.
Start
power.
over.
Yeah.
But if you don't sleep well, you wake up and you have like this residual. You're starting at a deficit. You already have like
on your lip right here is on your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, but what's interesting is, when you're in flow, when you're creating or when you're programming, when you get into a state where you're excited about something, you can go all day, you can stay up all night, you don't have to sleep much. And I think the state of flow also cleans that crud out of your brain.
that right?
Because you need less sleep when you're in flow. Yeah, it's really interesting.
No, don't you usually crash after flow? It's just a cessation. It's just a cessation of those needs. Your body still needs to go to the bathroom, even though.
Well, going to the bathroom's a.
No, but when you're in flow, you just like hold that potty, you know?
Yeah. But I've noticed like when I'm like that, I can go on less sleep and I feel fine.
Yeah.
And I think that there are states of mind in your waking state that can clean that crud out or reduce the amount of crud. And a lot of it is creativity, being in flow, and not making decisions. And that kind of brings us back to like why this interface is important. You pop it on, everything's there. You don't have to make a decision of the vocal chain, and you don't have to pick. You're making less decisions, right? You can be more creative, because a lot of times when you're trying to get something done, whether it's programming an app or designing a brand or making music, when you're faced with when you're like, oh, I have to set up the app first. I have to set this thing up first. Oh, I have to do this first. Yeah. You lose the creative steam, and you need to kind of stay in that flow. So that's what makes interfaces like that. And, bringing it back to DevTips, that's what makes good UI and UX design so important. You want your users to be in a state of flow, to not have to make decisions. In advertising, there's a phrase that says, "Don't make me do any work. Just make it easy for me." Right?
In UX, there's the book called "Don't Make Me Think" by Stephen.
Okay.
Krug.
Yeah, and that's probably an adaptation from like the old adage from the Mad Men age.
Mad Max.
But,
no. Oh yeah, no.
Mad Men. The admin.
Yeah.
From the mid 1900s when advertising took off. Yeah. When true consumerism happened post World War II, because the economy was booming.
Culture.
Yeah.
We finally landed it like a good trick.
Advertising and capitalism and modern consumerism. Actually, modern consumerism started then.
Nothing has ever gone wrong since then. That was like
no, it's been perfect since then.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's funny. It has been better. People are safer. People live better lives, but people have a hard time dealing with it. So everyone's anxious. Everyone's in therapy. Everyone's depressed. Everybody's
I've been hearing a lot about the iPad generation. Are you familiar with like this whole Gen Z Giat? Skivity?
A little bit. Tell me what the iPad generation means.
Bros?
I mean, I can guess what it is, but I think. But
I do. There's so many clips. I'm gonna look so stupid. But it's just like this. The slang terms of the Gen Z and Gen A. Skibidi toilet. Have you heard of this stuff? Sigmas and alphas, and you ever heard of this stuff?
Jana was talking about Sigmas. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. I think it's all silly, really.
It's nigh incomprehensible to us.
But here's the thing, man. It's because the generation above them, our generation, we're not telling people how to be, right? Because here's the thing. Let me give a little history.
You tell me the thing. Tell me the thing.
Yeah, before the mid 1900s, nobody gave a shit what kids wanted, right? The adults were the authority, right? And you work, you get a house, you have kids, you retire, right? You go to school. Like there were less decisions, right? That was planned out. Then consumerism happened, right? And post World War II. There were the baby boomers. There were a lot of kids, and the economy was booming in a post-war economy. So these kids, for the first time, had money to spend and freedom, right? So they became the consumers. Yeah. Fast forward to now, all of the old people want to be like the younger generation. When before it was the opposite. The young people wanted to be like the adults. They wanted to become adults. Now all of the adults want to stay kids, right? Yeah. All of the adults want to stay kids, and these kids don't know how to be humans. So they're trying to figure it out, and they're looking for these categories to place themselves in. Oh, am I a Sigma? And am I an Alpha? Am I a left winger? Am I a liberal? Am I Antifa? Am I? And they don't know what camp to be in, and they're looking for subculture. And the adults nowadays are fucking idiots. They're children. They want to be on TikTok, and they're like, I want to do TikTok dances too. Let's see what the kids are doing. And what's interesting when it comes to consumerism, that group is the most profitable from like 14 to 25 is the most profitable group. So, but there's always new 14 to 25-year-olds. So it's just recycling. And
that's why I'm mad at the pandemic, because the millennials were in charge. We finally made it. We took it away from the boomers. Millennials are cool now, guys. And
nobody's cool.
And then the pandemic happened. And
why
then
were
in the middle of the pandemics, all these Gen Zs came up and took the cool.
Well, because they knew how to use computers. And that's what everybody had to do. Everybody had to go home and use their computers.
Yeah.
And guess who knows how to use the computers the best? The young kids.
Freaking iPad
right?
kids, yeah.
The iPad generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people aren't growing up nowadays. People aren't being that's why solipsism is important, man. It's about the responsibility. People don't want to take responsibility for themselves. That's why everyone's in therapy and identifying with their trauma. They want to be victims and blame their world on other things, but their world is them. It's all them. It's all you. You're at the center of all things.
Do you think
you put yourself where you are?
Uncovering and addressing your childhood trauma is helpful or not helpful?
It can be helpful, but it can also be a problem. A little water can save your life, but a lot can kill you, and most people are drowning in victimhood as an excuse to be lazy and want to stay young and whatever, not want to grow up. Yeah.
Interesting.
We're living in a Peter Pan narcissistic world right now, unfortunately.
Well, we have 4 minutes left. How can our viewers grow up, Max? What should they
can
do?
Grow up
quick.
They can take responsibility for themselves.
Okay.
They can realize that they should follow what excites them. They should build things. Build a thing. What do you want to do? Build and it could be anything. It could be something physical. It could be something art. It could be an application. It could be a business model. It could be, find what you love and let it kill you. That's in the words of Charles Bukowski.
Find what you love and let it kill you.
Give yourself to it. Yeah. Give yourself to what you love. Don't look for what other people love. Don't look on TikTok and be like, what are they doing? I got to do it. No. Find what you love.
Yeah.
And give yourself to it. That's how we end this. But we never got into programming. We never got into Firebase. We've already been talking for an hour, but it's okay. Next time.
You've been started talking about consciousness again. So then that just goes, it takes a long time.
I'm on some shit, dog, but
on some shit.
It's powerful.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I checked. Yeah, this episode started by me checking in with you. How are you doing? You're doing powerful, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
All right, man. Say goodbye to everybody. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
I guess that's the end. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it.